Right. I'm thrilled to introduce my community today to Dr. Mark Sherwood, naturopathic doctor, and Michelle Neil Sherwood, doctor of osteopathy. This dynamic duo, this husband-wife team, has a full-time wellness-based medical practice in Tulsa, Oklahoma, called the Functional Medical Institute. The couple has co-authored four best-selling books, The Quest for Wellness, Fork Your Diet, Surviving the Garden of Eden, The Narrow Road, Peptides Unlocked, and Hormones Unlocked. And they have a new book released as well called Authentic Longevity. So, my goodness, you two have been all over the place, have been on national TV, been quoted on CNN, featured on CBN, and regular contributors to many other national publications. Very, very cool. And they also have their own TV show called Furthermore that's on many TV networks. So, just to sum this up, this couple understands the importance of nutrition, medical food and supplementation, exercise prescription, rest, stress management, hormone balance, functional movement, which is why I'm so stinking excited to talk today and pick your brain. And you already mentioned that anything that just blesses our community, as we were chatting off mic earlier today. And I already feel blessed to just have you with us today. So thank you and welcome.
Oh my goodness. Thanks for having me. Been looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to our conversation. It's going to be great.
Yes, I mean, every topic that you throw out there, I'm just going to say it now, is that you do have this TV show as well as a
Yeah.
podcast. And I was reading through your topics, and everyone, I'm like, oh, we could talk on that. We could talk on that. But one of the things that kept popping out to me was you and your wife, you're both pioneers in this field of anti-aging and longevity. And I think it would be interesting if out of your mouth our listeners could hear, like, what does that even mean? And how does it look different to sit across from you versus walking into a normal medical practice or medical visit?
That's a loaded question, but I'll answer it in different segments. First of all, we are conventionally trained as well as trained in naturopathy. So, as people know the difference, conventional medicine is looking at a group of symptoms and algorithmically creating this pathway to prescribe medication. So it's pharmaceutical driven, it's management of diseases rather than correction and even avoidance or reversal of disease processes. We understand that. We're not saying medicine's bad. We're just saying that that's not the only proverbial side of the coin. We need to look at the other side of the coin. Why are we having symptoms? We're not ignoring them, but why are they there? And how can we go about upstream correcting the problem or the dysfunction that created the symptoms in the first place? Therefore, the symptoms in our mind can become irrelevant. Symptoms become irrelevant. Therefore, medications become non-useful at that point. We kind of look at it like that. And we have the mentality of longevity being really increasing health span. I kind of look at the world a little bit different. I don't necessarily want to live longer. That's not the point, but living better is the point. We are seeing today this massive increase in sick span. Yeah, perhaps the lifespan is maybe up a year or two over the last couple of years, but it's not anywhere near what I think we should have an expectation. I look at our expectation level and whether we base this on what we have seen and tracked in the world or based it on biblical text, that number 120 keeps popping out, 120 years. And whether you're looking at a biohacking conference or a spiritual conference or biblical insights, whatever you look at, that number 120 is a common factor. So that leads me to believe that probably our organ system could be made in a sense that it can last that long if cared for, much like a classic car. If you take care of a car and you change the oil, keep it clean, and air up the tires and just do the normal maintenance, that classic car does not get younger. It gets better and it becomes higher in value. So in our world, I want people to have the highest value and have a amazing, awesome, just cool life where they're not distracted by disease, sickness, death, and lack.
Oh my goodness. What a beautiful way to summarize all
Mm.
of that. And I wrote down off to the side sick span because
Yeah.
I know we've all heard health span, and I think that people are even hearing there's health span, lifespan, sick
And
span,
six
right?
pack, right.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
longevity is somewhere in that space, I suppose.
Yes, and just this totally different view of really quality of life being in those years that we're on this earth. And again, thank you. You summarized that beautifully. And something to definitely fight for. I don't know, why are we all so focused on this how long versus like, hang on a minute, what about right now? Do you feel good right now? Are you living your most thriving, best, vital life possible?
Fascinating. I've looked at this from a lot of different angles, and I thought, how can I explain to someone what I'm talking about in a real way they understand? I've actually sought that ability to communicate in stories or analogies where people can actually understand and it sticks with them. But really, for me and my wife, and hopefully all of our listeners, to redefine, reimagine, revision, if you will, to be able to do what you want, when you want, how you want, whenever you want, not hurt for as long as you want. To me, that's quality of life. And to keep our world nice and big. Don't let it become from your world to your country to your state to your community to your living room and bedroom to your bedroom and then die. That's not life, man. That is really a sense of bondage and probably inappropriate expectations. I think we deserve better. I think we can do better. I think we got to get our vision restructured and sort of reframed. And I think that we can do a better job at this. And I think the reward is great. Return on investment is great. And it's us focusing away from perhaps what is wrong. I talk couples. If you decide one day a week with your spouse, we're going to decide this. I'm going to use my wife as an analogy. Michelle, you and I, let's just commit right now that one day a week, we're going to focus on what's wrong. And we're going to just keep going with that discussion during the day, and we're going to really hone in on what's wrong. Well, the bottom line is you're going to find something wrong. You're going to dig up things that are not wrong, making them wrong, and then wrong become your focus of conversation, and then that'll become the focus of the entire week. And so that's the difference. When people come in to deal with us or we deal with them, however that works, whether it be nationwide, multi-state license or in our office. I'm going to find out what's going on good about their lives. Talk to me about this or that. I don't want you to own this stuff. I mean, tell me what's going on good. And we bring the focus outwards into not neglecting what's not functioning well, but really perhaps underplaying that a little bit intentionally so it doesn't become the dominant structure of our conversation.
Oh, preach. Yes, this is so this is so great. I've had
Yeah.
chills like half the time that you're talking. Oh, so good. I feel like there's studies, I think it was even a back study where if people didn't know they were dealing with bulging discs or different
Yeah.
issues, that they weren't even in pain versus the people who are aware of all these problems and focusing on them, that it exacerbates the pain and issues, which I think is kind of what you're talking about.
Yes, I'll give you a classic example that I've dealt with recently. It was a guy actually, but people can relate to this across sexes, of course. You know how men sometimes worry or concern themselves about prostate cancer? Well, you look at the studies, and prostate cancer is obviously associated with older men with low testosterone, for example, not younger men with higher testosterone. So we'll put that to the side over there. But we're told just when you get to a certain age that you better be aware of it. And we got this PSA exam that we do repetitively. But if you look at the data behind even that test, it's inappropriately used. And there's a great book out there that I cite from the inventor of that test that's titled The Great Prostate Hoax. Anyway, this guy is going through his classic exams, and every time he gets a PSA, he gets the biopsy, and every time he gets another one, a biopsy, and it's over and over again just poking holes in something. And I use that word poking holes in something in sort of a multiplicative way because you're poking holes not in just tissues intrusively, but you're poking holes in his psyche. Well, it turns out prostate cancer metastasized and it went on and on. And he's still alive. I talked to him by text message yesterday. But the bottom line is he told me one day something that I'll never forget. He was in my office. He goes, Mark, I wish I'd have never known because all I've done is worry about it. All I've done is fret about it. It's destroyed the quality of my life. And now
Yeah.
look at me. And I was like, I was heartbroken. I actually started crying because how can we live like that? And so if you focus so much on what's wrong, it will manifest that wrong to grow. It's like putting gas on a fire. And we all know that anxiety, stress, fear will hammer and deplete the immuno ability to fight disease processes. And yet, that whole system out there is focused on the very things that create and prompt fear. Not to mention the standard American Western diet on top of that.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about, Mark. I feel like I haven't even gotten to what I meant to ask you about yet. Like,
Yeah.
this is all so good. Yes. So before I do flip over, because I just hope listeners are sinking in and pen to paper and hearing this,
Mhm.
the stress component and what it can do. But I also want to dive into how you and your wife, you live what you teach. I've read that through a lot of your blurbs on website. And how does that look in your life, even to this point of what you just mentioned? How do you keep your head when, yes, we live in stressful environments or we have stressful things happening to us? What is an example of you live what you teach in this exact scenario that you've just been describing?
Well, I realized that as a leader in the field or thought leader, whatever you want to put it, I mean, it's a responsibility. And I don't take that lightly, nor does my wife. I mean, we've got big shoulders, but man, it's a heavy weight to carry. I mean, we've got 25,000 people we deal with in our community. And I am overwhelmed with joy of that and
Mhm.
also a little bit of angst. And I realize that if I don't live it out in a non-compromising way, then why would people listen to me? Well, leadership today is about 80%. And we've lowered our bar of excellence here in these United States of America so much so that now average has become normal. The C
Mm.
plus grade is about the best we can do. I'm going to be 80% on my diet, 80% on this, and I'm okay with that. And why would be okay with that? In the sense that if I'm a leader and I have a team out here, if I told my team to give 80%, I wouldn't have a job very long. Sports analogy there that we can relate to. Having said that, every day, whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to get up, and for this is me, I will
Mhm.
spend time in prayer. I will spend time just surrendering my life again and asking God to help me do a good job today so that I can live in a way that is exemplary for people to see and want to be like. I don't want to have bitterness and I don't want to have anger. I don't want to have things going on. And then I'll do that. I'll get quiet and I prepare myself for the day. Then I go to the gym whether I want to feel like it or not. My feelings go over here. My
Mhm.
purpose goes to the front. And I'm going to
Mhm.
say that one more time. That's really important
Oh, so
because
good.
feelings can lead the way in people's lives, so much so that they lead us to pathways of failure. Your feelings are important, but they must line up and catch up with your purpose. Your purpose must lead and not be secondary to your feelings. If it is, I'm telling you, your feelings are going to lead you most of the time down pathways of compromised failures and underperformance. Having said that, I'm going to go out there and do my best, and then I'm going to go to work. And when I go to my work and I have an encounter with somebody, I'm going to give them everything I think I've got. I mean, even right now, off script, but the truth, I want to leave Lindsey and the Lindsey's audience in a better place than I found them. And I want them to be glad for the moment. So I really take it one step, one person, one encounter, one thought, one word at a time. And I do that over through the course of a day with every single thing I have scheduled, every single time I go going, whether it's movies or books or TV, it doesn't matter. And then at the end of that time, I spend time with my wife. And we don't spend a lot of time watching garbage on TV. I don't have time for that. We'll spend time talking, not just talking, but listening. And that's pretty much our life. And then I will have a date night with my wife. Nobody interferes with that. It's every Friday night, and we don't compromise. I don't care who calls. The answer is no, thank you, appreciate it, but I got plans, so I have to put that priority there. And we do vacation. We work very hard, but we also try to disconnect and get away. And I feel like that people deserve the right to see in leaders that type of stuff. Now, I'm not asking everybody else to do that, but I'm saying that this is a standard that I feel like is our duty and our purpose.
Ah, again, so good. This is just such a good example of you're giving us this path of what could be, and you have a skill set. You have worked your way up to this piece that you have boundaries, you have mindfulness, you have intentionality, And it's not that listeners, we're not asking you to be like change and that should be you in a day, but it's something to work towards. And you too, and I would think, Mark, you would feel the same way. There's no lost causes that no matter how far behind you feel of everything that you just said, that a listener could go, I could work little by little by to get to something similar.
Yeah, when I look at life, man, life's not been easy for me at all. I've been through all kinds of setback and messes and disappointments and discouragements and betrayals. All the whole everybody has. Life is a hard thing, man. And no
Yes.
matter who you are, you can't live life driving your vehicle of life, look in the rearview mirror. It's about that big. And if you do that, you're going to crash going forward. Spend time looking in the panoramic view of forwardness, which is embracing the idea of today. And I say this in a way people get this. It's like yesterday is history. It's gone. We look at it as a reference piece, but we can't live in yesterday because we'll forget the blessing of today. If we're always thinking about tomorrow, tomorrow is always one day away, and tomorrow is a future. It's still a mystery. I don't know what it's going to be, whether I'm going to have it. But today is a gift. That's why it's called the present, I believe. And we need to unwrap that thing and realize that you get 1,440 minutes a day, and you don't get a chance to return those minutes spent for a refund. You spend them in ways that are important. And I think that I'm not asking anybody to do this, but I'm asking people to reconsider the concept of failure. You're not a failure if you're alive today and you're hearing this. You start all over today because we've all had setbacks, but don't take a step back because it's a setup for your future and embrace this thing today. It's really important.
Ah, thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, I feel shallow, like even going on to this next piece that I really want to ask you.
It's all important.
Yes, but I'm gonna switch over to this because I was looking back through podcast episodes and I don't think I have anything on it. And I'm coming off of this women's networking event last night where I was at a hormone clinic. And she has a wonderful recovery room that has things like red light therapy and cold water plunge, cryotherapy, all these things that in my eyes, and what I love about this clinic is optimize, right? Like
Yes.
normal is not optimal in that, and I think you probably believe so strongly in this that why are we not
Yes.
all fighting for optimal? We don't, it's kind of exactly what you were just describing before. Like, yes, we can live at a level of it's fine, but we can thrive and we can be more blessed. So that's how I feel a little bit about these recovery pieces, and individuals aren't very all the time informed about them. So I thought it would be fun together to kind of dip through each one of these. If you could let us know what could we be missing? What benefits could we be missing from something that might be offered to us? Because I even know like a Planet Fitness offers red light therapy and
Yeah.
different. So can we kind of chunk down through these and the ones that you find the most accessible or beneficial or both?
Yeah, let's go through each one of these and what they really do. I think people need to understand the mechanism of action and what they do and how they can benefit us towards recovery, regeneration, rebuilding, repurpose, repair. And then I'm also going to give the audience one maybe they hadn't heard of before that they should be doing. It's one of the most easiest no-brainer things ever. So starting at red light therapy has been around for a long, long time. It penetrates the layers of the epidermis to a certain place, and it actually creates this antioxidant function and it generates your repair mechanism. So think about it as a way to initiate also detoxification. Really, really a good therapy. And frankly, it needs to have your skin. You need to see the skin. It can't penetrate the clothes. People need to know that. Actually, there's a lot of studies out there that show if you can look at it with your eyes for like 2 or 3 minutes direct, and then put your glasses on, you can actually get some retinal improvement, even with vision. So that's a unique way to look at it. But we're talking about red light therapy as a whole, and a lot of ladies like it for the skin, on the face especially. There's a lot of those masks out there people can wear, but you don't have to get a mask. You can just use one of these places and get into the red light therapy quite a bit, and it will repair damage to the outer layer of the epidermis pretty much all the time. Frequency, you could pretty much do that every day. You're not going to overdo that. It's really, really good. 20, 30 minutes is fine in a session. You go a little bit from red light therapy and you kind of dive a little bit deeper into infrared, near, medium, and far. And there are a lot of machines out there through sauna devices that will heat it up to probably 120 to 140 degrees. Near infrared goes a little bit deeper than red light. Medium goes a little bit deeper than that. And far goes all the way in and is believed to create regeneration and production efficiency of even the mitochondria. So it's kind of neat how red light can do that. And so I like to do a sauna myself probably about 3 to 4 times a week between 120 and 140 and for 20 minutes minimum, 20, 30 minutes, and make sure you're hydrated and stuff there. And then key point to understand there's a commonality between heat in the high intensity sauna and then the cryotherapy or cold therapy, or even the cold plunging therapy.
Hmm.
There's something called heat shock proteins, and heat shock proteins really are protective proteins that are initiated in times of extreme heat or extreme cold. And when we actually initiate those things, those in those extreme times, within reason, we're able to create more adaptability and perhaps resiliency to the stressors, the gamut of things we face in life. And so with cold therapy, you do activate the heat shock proteins. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of a unique term we use there. But the cold therapy, you're looking at cryotherapy, obviously, which was very, very cold therapy for just a few minutes. Now, what that does is it pulls the blood inside. Kind of makes sense. This is the same concept as even ice baths or the cold plunge. It pulls the blood inside and your body kind of gets there and you start this shaking going on. What does the shaking do? Obviously, some people would say, well, that's the form of exercise. I would agree. In a sense, the more shaking you do, the body's trying to warm up and you actually heat up that brown fat that can create more resiliency. And there is some belief system out there that we can transfer a little bit of the white fat towards more brown fat, which is kind of cool. So the brown fat has more mitochondria. The white fat is basically just a kind of a waste of time if it's in excess. Cold therapy can be done once or twice a week, no problem with that. I like those therapies a lot on both ends. There's some out there like the hyperbaric oxygen. Some places have that as well. That is better used for injury recovery or injury repair as opposed and compared to just maintenance because the high level of oxygen, if used too much, can create, just like the word would indicate, oxidation. So that creates more potential damage for the body. So I'm big on kind of pulsing a little bit of the hyperbaric chamber concepts versus using them all the time. One therapy of recovery people might not know about is molecular hydrogen therapy. It is amazing. I'm actually having right now in my little glass here molecular hydrogen infused water. Now, this is kind of cool, sciencey stuff. So, hydrogen is number one on the periodic table of elements. Upper left corner, go back and view it, find it on Google or ChatGPT. It's so small that it's able to penetrate all cells, all mitochondria of the body. When it penetrates the entirety of the human body, all your cells, all your trillions of cells, all into the trillions, probably gazillions of the mitochondria, everyone's heard of free radicals. And the free radical theory of aging, highlighted by Dr. Denham Harmon years ago, would be conceptually with the idea that aging begins and ends sort of the mitochondrial level. And I would be probably in that camp, the majority. I think if your cells have energy, the mitochondria is able to produce energy, we're going to have a good opportunity to recover. But if you lose the energy component of a cell, that cell's going to die. Well, inner hydrogen, which is produced in the gut, but if we don't produce it efficiently, which we don't as we age, because many people have gut issues with menopause and perimenopause and stress, standard American Western diet, et cetera, et cetera. Hydrogen production goes down. But hydrogen, when used appropriately, whether we drink it or breathe it, I have a machine that I breathe a cannula, straight hydrogen gas. And when I do that, it goes in there and it binds to excessive free radicals, which the worst one, just so people can look this up, is called hydroxyl radical. And it turns the hydroxyl radical, all of them, I didn't say some of them, all of them into water. So it's a way to mitigate excessive free radical damage on a mitochondrial level, which produces more balance in the cells and ability to recover. Those things about recovery, we should all take advantage of every day. We have them right now in our world. The decibel level of health right now, and if we're talking, it's been at a level that I haven't heard it in the last 20 years, and I'm excited about it. Even you mentioned in the hormone clinic they have a recovery room. I think that's outstanding. People need to
Yes.
take advantage of those things, certainly.
When somebody's listening to this, what category do they put these recovery elements in? Is it necessity? Is it, it'd be great if you could?
Yeah.
Where should they put that on the priority list?
I would probably rank them like this. Molecular hydrogen would be my number one. Certainly drinking it, consuming it, that's easy to do. If not breathing it, which is you got to get a machine, but they're not that bad expensive. I think it'd be number one. I would put probably red light number two, because you have to have a device to create the red light. There's a lot of little plates you can get, you can stand up in front of and sit down in front of or put on your face or whatever. I would put that number two. I would put probably cold plunge number three. Cold plunge does not require a device. It doesn't require you go into cryotherapy. You can. It doesn't require you get in a cold plunge tank. You can. But people can do a little trick that I've done is, and it's this: if you take a shower, you can take that hot shower. That's cool. But the last 2 minutes, crank off the hot water, man, and just sit there and, as I say in Oklahoma, cowboy or cowgirl up and just get it done. And 2 minutes, that's all I ask. If you can do that 2 or 3 times a week, you'll get great benefit from that. Now, it's not going to get as cold as cryotherapy, of course, not as
Mhm.
cold as a cold plunge, but you will activate those heat shock proteins in that order. And then from there, you can go down the line to infrared, medium infrared, far infrared saunas and cryotherapy, cold plunge. And probably my last would be out there, the hyperbaric oxygen, just because of the unique capabilities it has to repair things. Hopefully we don't get injured and have to use it all the time.
Yes, I'm going to add one more to your list, and you can agree with it or not. But
Yeah.
compression therapy is in there, like lymphatic drainage. What's your opinion?
100%. Yeah, I
Okay.
love that. I kind of, you mentioned that and I missed talking about that, but you have to drain the lymphatics. If they get gunked up and don't move, it's like having the second layer of detox plugged up. It would almost be
Hmm.
like, oh, your drain is open, but the pipes are clogged. And that's not how it
Hmm.
works. So you should be doing that. And massage can do that as well. All those things like that, compression therapy and even massage, I'd put that in there as well.
See, ladies, this is our excuse that we have to go get some monthly massages, right?
You have to do that.
It's a
It's not just
must.
pampering, it's called preservation. There's a new word for you.
Yes, I love that. That you just titled our podcast.
That's it. There you go.
Yes. So, and now I'm picturing drawing an arrow
Yeah.
to all of this. Everything we just talked about, can we lump it in the weight loss category? If you were talking to somebody about whether it's maintenance through menopause or it's weight loss, and how many women I feel like I talk to daily that are like, I'm stagnant, I cannot lose a
Yeah.
pound. Where does all this play into that?
So when you look at weight loss, I'm one to say to people, and this is going to sound like a little bit crazy, but I'll explain myself. Don't put focus on weight loss and don't diet because it will mess with your head. You can actually lose weight and get more unhealthy. You could gain weight and get more healthy. You should be focusing on, ladies, body composition or percentage of body fat. Somewhere between about 18 and 26% would be a window of excellence, a great place to shoot at. And there's a lot of ways to check your body composition. You can Google around the area, places that do body comp percentages, and those are great. And so here's the thing I want to throw a term at people. There's a lot of weight loss or excess fat loss resistance out there. Like you mentioned, I'm stuck, I'm stagnant, frustrated. But I'm going to teach people right here in a second another term. It's called excess fat gain resistance, which is where you should be. When you get your blood work done, always shoot for an insulin fasting to be underneath about 5, irregardless of the hemoglobin A1C. If you will consume foods that, as a primary, if you're stuck, go above the ground non-root vegetables and then good clean proteins, and you will be able to bust that plateau. Stress is huge when you get into this perimenopausal, menopausal time as well. And stress, we have this wonderful hormone called cortisol, which is not bad. It's good. It keeps you alive. You're supposed to be able to run from things trying to kill you. You're supposed to be able to go catch things you're trying to kill. It's interesting. But cortisol is known as a glucocorticoid. Gluco sounds like glucose. It does raise glucose. Glucose, whether you consume foods that are converting to glucose like carbohydrates, sugars, etc., or having a lot of cortisol, glucose is going to trigger the pancreas to secrete insulin. When insulin is chronically elevated, you'll be in a chronic fat storage mode. Chronic fat storage mode would be equating to fat loss or excess fat loss resistance. Additionally, your triglycerides, you want to make sure those triglycerides are below 100. Now, most labs are going to say 150 is fine. No, no, below 100. And if you have access to a lab that has an insulin resistance score, the number you want to shoot for is underneath 10. But interestingly enough, normal is said to be underneath 33. So that kind of shows you where we are in our mentality. Honestly, if you've got excess fat in the frame, it is wisdom to go on an intentional pathway to get that off. You should maintain as much muscle tissue and even try to build it as possible because that can help build and support bone development. Osteoporosis should not exist in our country, should not exist in our world, should not exist in you ladies at all. Zero. It can be corrected, it can be reversed, it can be prevented. Weight training is important. Got to do it. Regardless, you're not going to get big muscles. You don't have testosterone of 1,000, but you need muscles.
Yes.
Muscles produce an increase in metabolism, slight, and we need to get rid of all excess fat tissue because excess fat tissue creates inflammation. Inflammation, when it's chronic and systemic, is an inclusive factor in all disease processes. So that was a big answer to a short question. We have to put all those together so that we understand our clear targets. Weight loss, again, will drive you nuts. And so I think probably some people out there might be obsessed with that. You get on the scale, it can drive stress because it makes you have a bad day, and that drives cortisol. Or you get on the scale and you have a falsely good day. Don't let that mechanical device control who you are, man. Pitch that thing in the dumpster like I did the one in our clinic about 10 years ago.
This is why I knew I liked you already. If you've been on any of my stuff, I've smashed scales and I'm
Oh, I
like
don't like them.
over it. There's so much more to this
Yeah.
picture. And yes, and I love that you redirected us right back to the body analysis, the like what's
Mhm.
going on our insides and muscle mass and all of it. Before we leave this, because I actually want to go back to all the recovery stuff with weight loss as well. But you had mentioned even with osteoporosis, osteopenia, that we have the ability, and this has kind of been brought up in previous episodes, that we have the ability to maintain as well as regain that bone density back. So I'd like
Yes.
to hear it out of your mouth of what and where you go with that.
Well, the first place you got to go is strength training or resistance training, picking up stuff, moving stuff, and proper nutrition. I mean, that's the foundation of everything. You got to do that. And then you got to have the hormones there too, because when do ladies get osteoporosis? When they start losing their hormones. And we're talking about a balance between estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone. I know the listeners know about that. And then you also got to think about the proper DEXA scan. Now, DEXAs, which measure bone density, if you start getting in the negative, you're getting farther away from zero. That means you're osteopenic up to osteoporotic. Keep in mind that there is a little bit of subjective performance with that based upon the operator. Because when you run a DEXA machine, and I do this a lot of times, you sort of draw those lines around the body and it does an analysis. So there can be a little bit of variance between operator to operator, even machine to machine. So that's pretty good to know. So if you
Yeah,
get a bad report that says you're osteoporotic, don't be afraid to get another scan from somebody else or another company.
no.
Um, Bone building nutrients include calcium, very important. But when you take calcium, don't forget its reciprocal mineral, which is magnesium. Old school was about 2 parts calcium to 1 part magnesium. It finally transitioned to about 1 and 1 because calcium can get deposited in the arteries. We don't want that. We want it deposited in the bones. I like about a 1 part calcium to magnesium, and I like to add strontium. So I'll divide calcium maybe in the morning with my minerals and strontium before bed. And kind of important as well to make sure your vitamin D is optimized. Your numbers need to be between about 60 and 80, probably 60 to 90 in that window, and the 25 hydroxy D. And then also make sure you have plenty of vitamin K2, probably
Hmm.
to the tune of 150 micrograms up to 250 or probably more, because that actually directs the calcium to your bones and kind of out of your arteries. So that's like an arterial protection as well as a bone building thing. So if you do all of those things and stay active, you probably won't have to deal with this idea of osteoporosis.
Oh, interesting. Oh my goodness. Yes. And while we're talking supplements for a second, can you talk on, are you a believer in CoQ10 as well in that lineup?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
as you age, it's been said that you got coqunol down to, and coenzyme Q10, coqunol is like the next step down. I don't know. I'm sure that there's probably something to that, but just take your coenzyme Q10.
Yeah.
I like 200 milligrams is probably my minimum starting dose, but I've had many, many people do 400, 600. It is one of the last steps, if you will, in the production of energy in what's called the electron transport chain, which is inside the mitochondria. And incidentally, that ties with the molecular hydrogen because in the molecular chain of production there, that's where the free radicals are created. So if you drink your hydrogen, you can keep those free radicals from inhibiting that process of creating cellular energy with the production of ATP. So, coenzyme Q10 is critical.
Yeah, this is you're amazing. It's so funny. I was looking at my CoQ10 on the shelf and I just had this conversation yesterday. Remind me why this is important because
Big
once
time.
we
Take it.
know, right? Like once we know, we're
Yep.
motivated. And I think this is why I really wanted to hone in on this talk with the recovery and why those are important because we can see things and we can hear that it's important, but I don't think the general population has like this deep understanding and they don't have to be able to verbalize it like you can. You are so beautifully stated and well versed, and I could listen to you all day. But I think that we need just this at least baseline of understanding of the why we should care, why it matters versus just do it. Because a lot of times when we're told, then our little inner toddler comes out and is like, I'm not doing that. I don't care about that.
I think if you look at it like this, the body in the way it's created is amazing. The more that I know, the more I realize I don't know,
Hmm.
which keeps me curious
Hmm.
to ask why or why not. Curiosity, I would suppose, heals the human. If you look at it like that, it really does, because you keep
I
wondering
like
why.
that.
It's like that's what's kept the idea of science, which is not concrete, by the way, it's an evolving process. So as you look at the human body, it's a healing mechanism. Everything in it is designed to produce not just survival, but thriving recovery, regeneration, rebuilding, so that you can have a great life, as we talked about a few moments ago. If you give it what it needs from a cellular level, it will do what it does. Remember, the body has to have micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and good oxygen. And if you can get those things in there and keep the free radical damage down and work on mindset and stress and move every day, the only day you don't move is the day you're dead. Remember that, folks. And then
So good. Yes.
eat well and don't overthink stuff. It's always good to ask questions. And even when you're dealing with a clinician like myself or somebody else, you should ask them questions. And if they can't answer the questions, keep asking. And if they can't answer the questions, then find somebody else because you need
Yes.
partnerships in this because life is community and health is community and wellness is community. And I think we can help each other with that.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to that and just say if you ever feel belittled or small or dumb leaving a doctor's appointment because you ask questions, time to
Oh,
move on as well. You know,
bingo,
like
100%.
yes.
No, if that happens, it's not just potential arrogance, it's probably lack of knowledge. Because
Mhm.
sometimes people's defense mechanisms will like make people feel stupid. I can't believe you're asking me that question. How you're an idiot. I think people do that as a defense mechanism so they can stop a conversation because they really don't know the answer.
100%. Whether they don't want to go into it with time
That's right.
or because they don't know yet and they need to research it
Yes.
themselves. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so as we are kind of coming on the end, let's circle back to our recovery and how that could aid in weight loss for
Mhm.
the person going. Tell me again the importance. Should I be doing this for weight loss? And then everywhere that we can find you, your books, your podcast, because I guarantee people are going, I need more. I want to hear more. I know I will be binging on your
Yep.
podcast. So yes,
Well,
we'll
when you
talk.
look at those recovery things, obviously you got to get your hormones right. I think people can consider peptides as well. Peptides are a new kid in the block out there, and they're
Mhm.
getting more popular. And if done correctly, they're amazing aids. But utilizing those recovery things like the red light, compression, the cryotherapy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What those things do is they build resilience, as I talked about, from developing the heat shock proteins, which is great, which will help you deal with the stressors, up and downs, all arounds, side to side of life. And at the same time, you can mitigate a lot of the damage from free radicals with the antioxidant capability of the red light therapy. And when you think about the cold therapy, you're talking about reducing inflammation and producing better healing. And all that said has one commonality. It reduces internal stress in the life. And when your body is stressed out, whether you feel it or not, it creates a system where all your energy is pushed outward, right? It's not working on inward. The only way you can really recover, rebuild, and lose weight, and lose excess fat tissue, and become excess fat gain resistance is if you find the window like this. So you're on a turnpike and you need to learn to drive on the turnpike, a smooth road. Don't spend your life in the ditches, extremes either
Yes.
way. Find your vibe and find the rhythm of that and live in a way where you at least intentionally structure ways where you're not having to deal, where you can turn it off, breathe, get your heart rate down, get some sunshine, go to the beach, whatever you like to do, go to the mountains. For us, people can reach us at sherwood.tv, and that's kind of main website right now. And there's ebooks and videos and movies and stuff like that out there. And honestly, we just want to be a blessing to folks. So, hey, we're out there to help people, and I really hope that people have gotten some things out of this today, I
Oh
hope,
my
and they're encouraged
goodness.
and motivated.
Yes. You're the whole package. I feel like I've spent a lot of this podcast journey learning little puzzle pieces and finally getting to put them all
Yeah.
together. And then a you shows up and it's like, oh, you're the whole thing. You have the whole
Yeah.
package. And it's really cool to see
We
that.
like to know the hope
Ah,
dealers. That's kind of what we are.
oh,
Hope.
I love that.
So there you go.
I
You got your hope right now.
do. I know. And it's so you mentioned resilience and this word resilient, it's my word of the year with my community,
Mhm.
my members, and then it keeps popping up. And then you said it again today. And I'm like, there it is. There's my like it was meant to be this
Beautiful
conversation.
word. Beautiful word.
Yes. All right. And I think you've already given this to us, but I'm going to ask it anyways. It's just this whole, if you could wrap your arms around our community, hope and pray that they heard one thing. If they didn't hear everything, what's the one thing that you pray that they walk away with today? Loaded again.
Embrace the blessing of today and
Mm.
the opportunity of today. Don't miss it. Make the most of it. Live it well with a vision of what your life can look like. And don't let anybody, I don't care who they are, take your hope and dreams away. You're worth it. Your life is worth it. You're loved, you're cared about. And I think that's what I hope people get today.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on with us. You're amazing.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I hope you have a blessed day.